G'day everyone. Just coming to that time of the year, mid-March. Everybody's talking about the roar already, asking if any stags are roaring yet, which is starting to become quite annoying. Just thought it'd be quite a good time to go over the 7 basic rules with everybody, and also just do a bit of a talk about general bush etiquette when hunting. And also, you know, with duck shooting coming up, a lot of people are into that after the roar. That sort of, you know, goes same principle for everything regardless. So yeah, rule number 1 is treat every firearm as loaded. Everybody should know that it's got a firearms license, and it's something that you need to make sure you tell the people that you're taking out whether they've got a firearms license or not. You know, young people, especially people that haven't been hunting before and things like that, you got to go over all those sort of things with them. Point every firearm in a safe direction. That's, you know, that's something I drill into my kids, you know, from as soon as they start having toy guns, that sort of thing. It's the best place to start, is teach your kids, you know, you don't point guns at people. It's as simple as that. If my kids do that, the firearm's gone, you know, all the toy gun's gone. And same goes, you know, when they start using real guns, if they start being a bit silly with them, you take that responsibility away from them. They're not allowed to use them until they, you know, can be responsible enough. Yeah, and then rule number 3, load only when ready to fire. You know, that's pretty simple. It sort of coincides with the next rule of identify your target beyond all doubt. You know, you load only when ready to fire, but as far as I'm concerned, you identify that target before you even load the bloody firearm. Like, you could hear a stag coming in and you may know, you know, you're 95% sure it's a stag coming in, and then you load, get ready, you know, line up, know where it's going to come out, and then some bastard could pop out of nowhere, you just don't know, or anything like that. Or even if, you know, you're a selective type hunter, you got a stag coming in, you know it's a stag, but you still want to make sure, you know, it's good enough to even bother shooting. And that's where, yeah, you identify it beyond all doubt. You may know it's definitely an animal, but then you still, yeah, might want to go into, you know, different things about being selective. It may be a young stag you don't want to shoot, or that sort of thing. So there's all that to take into account as well. But you need to make sure you absolutely identify that target before you even bother loading the firearm, because, yeah, the last thing anybody wants is to shoot somebody. And then the 5th rule is check your firing zone. That goes for anywhere you're hunting, especially if you're hunting, you know, open country, you know, farmland, especially duck shooting coming up, you know, that sort of thing, all of that. You need to make sure, you know, you don't shoot an animal on the skyline. You know, when you're duck shooting, you got to make sure if a duck's flying over, you're not shooting straight towards your mates in a mile or something stupid like that across from you. Or there's lots of things to take into account, you know. There may be a hillside behind a deer you're shooting at or something, but then there could be sheep close to it. If you miss, you might hit a sheep or whatever, and the farmer won't be very happy, or all that sort of thing. And then the 6th rule is store all your firearms and ammo away safely. You know, as soon as you get home at night, you muck around, clean your gun if it's been wet or whatever, and just make sure you always put it away correctly. You know, keep your ammo and bolts and that separate from your rifles. Because if someone broke into your house and stole your rifles, well, they can't do much without a bolt or anything for it, can they? And they can't do anything if they got ammo. So you got to always make sure that's stored away properly. And then the 7th rule and final rule, which is the most important for after you're hunting, or even, you know, if you're in a hut or whatever, is, you know, make sure your guns and everything are away, and then sit down and have a beer or anything like that. And then duck shooters, you know, it's a bit ridiculous how some of you know, are out there and you're getting on the piss and shooting ducks and shit at the same time. It's absolutely stupid. That's how accidents happen. So the next point I want to put across after those 7 basic rules is just general bush etiquette. You know, it can go for any time of the year, but especially when we're coming into the roar. You know, there's probably, I'd say on average, a minimum of an extra 60% of hunters in the bush this time of year, as opposed to another 2 or 3 months time. You know, just some general safety things, and yeah, just basic bush etiquette when you're hunting around other people. You know, for starters, if you're hunting in parties, you know, just safety. The easiest, safest way to, you know, make sure you don't shoot your mates or anything if you split up or all that sort of thing is use those Garmin Rhinos, you know, if you can afford them. Otherwise, another idea I did have the other day was if you go pig hunting or whatever and you have tracking gear as well, throw a bloody collar in each other's bags or something so it's out of the way, and have a handheld each and you keep track of each other. You know, I would never go hunting with somebody this time of year and split up unless you either had those sort of tools or you knew and you could trust them 100% that nothing would go wrong. But even then, you know, mistakes can happen, and that's just where you gotta know that those people you're hunting with, if you're gonna split up, are true to their word, you know, and they'll only stay in one area, or you know for a fact that you can trust them in a hunting scenario. And then yeah, the next point was just hunting where other people are. You know, if you don't know where they are, you turn up to a car park, you know, and there's 2 or 3 vehicles there this time of year, I wouldn't even bother going in the bush. It's just too much of a risk. You know, and if you turn up to a car park and there's a couple of vehicles there and there's people still there, you know, have a yak to them if whether they've just come out, or even if they've just come out, you know, you could get some information. They may say, you know, they bumped into a couple of there, blah de blah, and they, you know, if they're good bastards, they'll tell you roughly where it is and all that sort of thing. Or, you know, if they're just heading in, you can sort of collaborate and work out where each other's going, so then they know and you know, where that party would be or whatever. You know, if they're going to a hut that you might be going to, at least then you're going to know that there's going to be more people than what you expected, sort of thing, and you may be able to come up with a plan B or something like that. And then third thing was just going to be clothing when you're hunting, especially in public land. I find it really stupid how people wear camo hunting public land, especially this time of year, because it's just recipe for disaster with the amount of silly idiots out there. During the raw, if I'm hunting anywhere in public where there could be other people there, I always wear either, you know, some sort of blaze colour that sticks out from the bush, or just your general colours that stick out. You know, at the end of the day, you got to wear something that other people are going to be able to see. I wouldn't be too concerned about, you know, deer may see you, because this time of year, if a stag's really wound up, he ain't going to give a shit what colour he was looking at. It's the fact that he thinks that there's another stag in his area and he's going to come in for a look. So you don't really need to be too careful about bloody camouflage and all that sort of crap anyway. And I just personally think it's a waste of time. You know, you can't trust what people are like that are in the bush where you're hunting, so you're better off to cover your own ass and make sure you don't get shot, and hope like hell there's not some idiot out there that's just going to fire at something that moves or something, you know, that breaks a twig or whatever. But yeah, anyway guys, hope everybody has a safe raw and shoots a few animals, and it'll be good to see and hear a few stories from different people. And yeah, just stay safe out there and have a good one. Cheers.